Now, I want to quickly highlight this whole idea of the American dream of building a home as the number one way to build generational wealth, because I've heard that many times, and it's actually the same in my culture, the Punjabi Indian culture, where many people believe that owning a home and just passing this home down is the way to build generational wealth, and there's nothing better. Owning a home can be great, and living in a home where you don't have to worry about a mortgage payment because it's paid off is even better. And then having a home that's paid off that you can give to your kids is amazing. But it's not the only way to build wealth. And it's not always the best way either, because your home isn't always an asset. Your home is actually a liability until it becomes an asset, because for so many people, your home is a money pit until you sell it or until something happens where now you can finally get some of the value back for owning the home that you have. I'll tell you this from my realtor experience, because I am a licensed real estate salesperson, but I don't actively work as a real estate salesperson. But what you have to understand is that when everybody can sell you on this idea that your home that you live in is an investment, what are you going to do? Well, now you're going to be willing to stretch yourself a little bit bigger. Maybe buy a little bit of a bigger home or get a bigger mortgage, because now it's an investment. It's something that you're investing in for your financial future. You're investing in it for your kids. So now you're willing to go a little bit bigger, a little bit more expensive, because it's an investment. You can justify it. And now what happens to so many people is you buy this big, massive home. Now you gotta start paying the property taxes. You gotta pay the bigger mortgage bill. You gotta pay for the maintenance, the utilities, the upkeep, and then the upgrades. Because now your spouse is gonna wanna upgrade the kitchen. You got to keep painting the rooms. You're going to want to finish the basement. You want to upgrade the furnace. Things will always keep happening, and you got to keep putting money in there, and now you're sacrificing money that you could have put towards potentially investing in other real estate investment properties, into the stock market, into your business idea, into a startup, into something else, because you just keep putting more and more money into your home, which hopefully one day will be an asset that you can either pass on or that you can sell, or that you will be able to refinance on. That way you have some more cash in your pocket today. If you're going out and buying a home that you can't afford so you can hopefully one day build wealth, and now you can't afford the monthly payments, you're stretching yourself thin, you don't have money to continue investing your money in other places, is your home really an asset? In this case, no. So if you're going to be buying a home, you got to make sure that you can afford it first and foremost, and don't buy it as an investment. Buy it as a liability. Know that the cost, the money that you're paying right now, is a liability, and if it becomes an asset, great, but this shouldn't be the only way that you try to build this sort of generational wealth. I want you to think a little bit bigger, because there are other ways to do this, and now many people are being forced to find other ways to build this type of generational wealth, at least right now. I want to make sure that I make this explicitly clear. The American dream is not dead, but it is changing. The traditional idea of just being able to build wealth by buying a home and paying it off is changing, especially now, so you need to be a little bit smarter, but that does not mean that America is not the land of opportunity and that you cannot build wealth in America. This is still the best place in the world to want to be to build wealth. You have the most opportunity here, and you have people around the world that will literally risk their lives for a chance to come to America and have the opportunity to build wealth. So if you are in a first world country, you have the ability to understand what I'm saying, and you have the means to watch this video, you are blessed. You have the tools and education and ability necessary to go out and build something huge. Okay, I'm telling you this from a family of immigrants. In my home in India right now, in Punjab, we don't have running water 24 hours a day. We don't have electricity 24 hours a day. Here in America, you don't have the problem, and you also have the freedom to do something, to create something, to build wealth. So what I want to do right now is go over 5.5 strategies or different ways right now that you can start investing your money and build your wealth, even if the traditional American dream is dead. And let me start with the first half point, because I know a lot of you watching this are still going to be interested to go out and buy a home, and you're wondering, how do I go out and buy a home right now? Because even though it's becoming more and more expensive, what can you do in this market to buy a home? So let me start with that. If you want to buy a home right now, when you're trying to figure out how can you buy a home that you afford, I need you to buy a home smartly or buy a home strategically. That means, one, find a home that you can actually afford. That might mean looking for a fixer-upper. Look for something that needs work, because now you can come in and add that value but buy the home below market value. The second thing that you can do is change where you're looking for homes. Maybe you gotta look in a different neighborhood, maybe a different city, maybe even a different state. I talk about all the time of how you can buy an investment property in the Midwest, especially the Michigan area, for under $200,000, maybe even under $150,000. Then people here in California, I'm in California right now, people don't understand that you could buy a home for $150,000, or even maybe in some instances $100,000, because that is possible. Here in San Diego, where I am right now, you're not going to find a home anything under really $400,000 or $500,000. And so, you got to change where you look if you really want to be able to buy a home. So maybe you start looking elsewhere, and if you have the ability to work from home, it makes it a little bit easier for you to do that. Number one, actually, is instead of buying a home just to live in yourself, buy a real estate investment property that you're buying not for the purpose of living in, but to rent out to somebody else. Now, when you buy this real estate investment property, you're buying this home or apartment complex for one reason and one reason only: to make money. When you buy a home, you're buying a home to make memories in. So you'd be analyzing these properties in completely different ways, because now your goal of buying this is to make money. Now you get cash flow. If property values continue to go up, you get appreciation, and you have an asset that you could potentially pass down to your heirs. Now, if you're thinking, Jaspreet, I don't even have the money to go out and buy a home for me to live in, how am I supposed to go out and buy a rental property or a real estate investment property? Well, again, you can be creative, or you can also look at number two: crowdfunded real estate. This is a newer kind of technology and ability that you can do now, where you can invest not in a whole property, but in a little fund, which will give you exposure to a much bigger deal. Some of these funds will let you invest as little as $1,000. Some of them will let you invest as little as $10. So now you invest $10, $100, $1,000, $5,000, whatever it is that you want, and you get exposure to a much bigger real estate deal. And now you get your share of rent, you get your share of appreciation, and it's a way for you to get exposure to real estate. And now you also don't got to worry about dealing with tenants. You don't got to worry about dealing with management companies. You don't got to worry about dealing with the city. You have the developer, the investor, the professionals doing all of that, and you get your share of the profits. Third, moving down the list and moving away from real estate, is you can also invest your money in stocks, in the stock market, because now you can build a big portfolio of companies, of ETFs, of index funds, and you can also use this money to pass down to your heirs if you're really worried about building that generational wealth, and what you can do if you're worried about how you're going to be able to fund your lifestyle, live your life, and still have money to pass down. Well, if you start investing in ETFs or stocks that pay out dividends, these dividends can create cash flow. Now, again, this is something that's got to happen over time. You don't want to start doing this when you're 65 years old and then you're going to worry about how do you build cash flow for your retirement. You want to start planning this early, because if you start investing your money into companies and ETFs that pay dividends, and you keep reinvesting the dividends, you're eventually going to build a stream of income from your dividends that you could potentially live off of. Now, if you continually keep investing your money in it, you might have a dividend stream that's big enough for you to live off of, that you don't need to pull out any of the principal. So you have your ETFs, your exchange traded funds, you have your companies, which are producing you cash flow every quarter, every month, and you live off of this money. Now, if you don't need to pull out any of the principal, if you don't need to pull out all the principal, now you have money here that you can pass down to your heirs, your kids, whoever you want. And now they have this nest egg that not only is worth something, maybe it's worth millions of dollars, but it's also producing a lot of cash flow every single year. And now you have money to live off of. You don't have to do any work to produce this cash flow, but you also have the assets, the nest egg, you have the stocks, and you have the cash flow to live off of. The key to financial freedom or wealth or whatever you want to call it is cash flow. If you can generate cash flow, now you are financially free, because you don't have to worry about selling your assets to have an income. You don't have to worry about doing something to earn a paycheck. You have assets which are producing cash flow that you can live off of. Now you live off of the cash flow, and your assets are there, hopefully continuing to grow in value because you have good assets. So if you have the right companies, you have the right ETFs, now they continue to grow in value, and your income continues to support your lifestyle. And if you're investing in assets, you might be worried about inflation, right? Well, assets benefit from inflation. That's why the stock market went up so much in 2021 as we started to see this inflation, because when more inflation happens, more dollars flow into these assets. The fourth way that you can invest your money is by investing your money into something a little bit more risky. I know I'm not talking about cryptocurrency. I already talked about that, so I'm not going to go over it again now. But the fourth way that you can invest your money is investing your money into startups, early stage companies, because it's become so much more accessible. I know I talk about this quite a bit now, but I love it because I've always wanted wanted to be able to invest like Shark Tank, and now there's a whole bunch of companies on the internet that let you do that. WeFunder, Start Engine, Republic. Again, I'm not being paid by any of these companies. I just like the fact that now you can go out and invest in startups. You only need, I think, like $100 to start investing in these startups. I do want to remind you, it's much more risky because now you have to go out and actually invest your money into a company that may or may not be making any money, that may or may not be here in 5 years. But if you can invest your money into a company and it really grows and it gets acquired by a bigger company or it goes public, well, now you have the opportunity to see a much bigger return on your company because now you can invest in a company before everybody knows about it and before it hits the stock market. So it's a high risk, high return way for you to build your investment portfolio, but I wouldn't make your entire investment portfolio this. This should be a smaller part, maybe like the fun, kind of more speculative, more risky part of your portfolio. If you're working to build this sort of wealth, you want to have the bulk of your portfolio be something that's a little bit more stable, you know, your real estate, your stocks, and then you want to have some of your more kind of creative fun. That could be some cryptocurrency, it could be some of these startups as a way for you to get more potential growth, but it also has more risk. And the fifth and a half way that you can invest your money is by investing your money into your own business, because if you have the entrepreneur mindset and now you start investing your money in your own business, and now you own your business and it can grow, and you don't need to continually work in your business for it to operate. So you build a real business, not just a side hustle. But if you build a real business that doesn't require you in the business for it to run, well, now you have something that you can use to survive, because your business should produce profit, hopefully. And if you have this profit, that's the profit that you can use to live your life. And then you can sell the business, get the cash, and live off of it. You can sell the business, get the cash, go out and buy some real estate. You can sell the business, take the cash, go out and buy some stocks. You can sell the business, take the cash, and just give the cash to your kids. Or you can take the ownership of the business and just give it to your kids. And so now you have a different way for you to create this sort of generational wealth, but it requires the most work, the most risk, but also the most potential upside. Because if you can build a business, you own equity in that business. And if you have equity in that business, you get to control what you do with the equity. You can sell it, you can keep it, or you can give it away. If you enjoyed this short clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to start generating passive income, our team put together an amazing guide that goes over what passive income is, how to start generating passive income, and different passive income strategies. These are things that you can start doing even if you don't have a lot of money. So if you want to read this free guide on how to start generating passive income for free, all you got to do is click that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.